What is up, beautiful people? I'm so glad you decided to join me today. We're going to be looking at type 3s, and we're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about? We're talking about shutting down your feelings, not necessarily connecting to your emotions, being focused so much on getting things done, prioritizing your thinking and your doing that maybe sometimes you don't spend a lot of time in your own region there of feeling. You're in the feeling group, but yet sometimes you might find yourself disconnected from feelings. So we're going to talk about that. Before we do, in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where you can book coaching appointments if you want to talk through some of this kind of thing for yourself, for somebody else, for relationship coaching. Please reach out to me. I'd love to meet with you. We meet on Zoom or Skype or Google Duo or FaceTime. There's a lot of different ways we can connect. Also, I have certificate programs on my website. If you're interested in doing this, in coaching other people and using the Enneagram in this way, I'd love for you to join me for one of my classes. They're all listed there on the website. Also, I come out now and I do events. If you want me to come to your team and train your team or your staff, I'd love to meet your people and push them into the Enneagram stuff so that they're challenged a little bit to learn how to get along better with each other, be more productive, and work together as a team. All right, so let's get started and let's talk about what we're pulling this out of. We're getting this from Beatrice Chestnut's book, The Enneagram Guide to Waking Up. If you haven't got that book yet, I highly recommend it. And let's see what she says here about one of the key patterns, or two of the key patterns of Enneagram Type 3, and that is shutting off your awareness of your emotions and prioritizing doing over feeling. So let's start where she starts with prioritizing doing over feeling. Notice how you focus primarily on getting things done. Good. Maybe you are an NT or a TJ on Myers-Briggs, like an INTJ or an ENFJ. If you're a 3, you could be other things as well, but you know, NTs that focus on efficiency and TJs that focus on effectiveness, getting things done. Notice if you prioritize getting things done. People talk, people, like to set plans and goals, but they don't show up and get it done. You are different than the rest of us, and that's fundamentally part of what it means to be in that worth and feeling group, is that you differentiate yourself away from us. So think about the core of humanity like this, and 2s, 3s, and 4s all kind of move away from the group to prove to us that you are different than us. 2s move away and then serve the group. 3s move away and outperform and excel, and 4s move away in all the other ways, and we'll talk about them when we get to 4 videos. But that need to prioritize getting things done. It can be hard for you to slow down and stop doing things. What would you do if you slowed down and stopped doing things? Could you just rest? Could you just relax? You can look around at the people next to you and you can see that not everybody is doing something right now. How do they survive? How do they manage? Do you have space in your life to just be present, to just be a person, to just feel things, to just enjoy things? Can you just ride a bike and listen to music? Can you just paint a picture and just enjoy it? Or do you just have to excel and be the best? Do you have to push yourself and set goals for yourself? Or can you just enjoy things the way they are? When you observe yourself, you may notice that you find it difficult to consider slowing down and feeling your emotions or just being. To just slow down and just enjoy the surroundings, or enjoy how things turned out, or just enjoy the lessons that you're learning. If you try to stop all your activity for a short time, it might feel scary or challenging because you prioritize doing something. Let's be productive. Let's be efficient. Let's be useful. It can be difficult for you to acknowledge your emotions, and you may even deny them or avoid them. So I wonder what emotions you are comfortable with. Are you comfortable with feeling joy, with feeling happiness? Are you comfortable with feeling excitement and enthusiasm? Are you comfortable with feeling sorrow and pain or loss or regret or disappointment? You know, when you think about 8s over there, they don't like disappointment or anything that makes them feel like a helpless child. You know, they don't want to feel disappointment. They don't want to feel anxiety. They don't want to feel indecision or helplessness. What are the emotional triggers for you? What wakes you up, makes you feel awful? Like, oh gosh, I hate that. I hate that feeling of not being a success or of failing. What is it that like really makes you feel uncomfortable? When you find something that makes you feel uncomfortable, you might try to push into that a little bit more. Like think of it as like, well, what if I wasn't so uncomfortable with that? And how is this discomfort with that emotions or emotions in general, how is that limiting my ability to connect with myself and with other people? Good questions. All right. You tend to equate who you are with what you do. And then, of course, how are you going to feel? You're going to feel awful if you don't do well. And we don't always all do well. I mean, sometimes we make mistakes and sometimes we do things we shouldn't do, and we do things that we're not proud of, and we do things that we wish we could do over again because it just didn't work out so great. And if that's who you are, I can see why it could be such a problem. But that's not who you are. That's what you did. Who you are is reflected in what you do, but you're so much more than what you do, aren't you? Okay, so let's read this next section. Shutting off awareness of your emotions. Your emotions are almost always nearby, but you unconsciously fear that they will make you less productive. So if you take time to just enjoy your happiness, happiness is tomorrow. You know, I read a quote a while back that said, everybody chooses to be happy, most of us tomorrow. We choose to be happy tomorrow. And I think threes really do this. Like happiness and satisfaction and that sense that I've accomplished my goal, it always is in the distant. It's always in the future. Like one day when all of this is right, when all of this is made okay, when I've excelled and accomplished and won, then I'll feel this. But it seems like it just starts on another treadmill. As soon as you get off of one treadmill, you get on another treadmill. When will you actually stop and feel the emotions of like, oh, I feel so great. I accomplished my goal. I can be happy. I can enjoy this. I can just now participate and relax. I can participate with other people and I can just sit back and relax because I accomplished that thing I was working toward. Does that day ever come? Or does it never come? When will you know it's okay for you to slow down and feel that joy and that contentment? Ooh, contentment. There's a word that I have a problem with as a 7. Right? I mean, my sin is gluttony. Contentment is kind of like the cure for gluttony, but it also is very scary when you're a glutton. How do you do with contentment? Are you ever content with how things worked out? Are you ever content with how well you performed? Are you ever content with the reception that you receive from others? Are you content with your effort? Are you content with how much you accomplished? What would it take for you to become content? And think how differently your life would be if you could be content easier. If it was easier for you to get to that state of contentment and peace and kind of that Zen state, if you could get there easier, think how different your life might be lived. You might focus your attention on other things in life that would tend to make you have a more balanced life. It is possible. It's not easy, but you're going to have to push against your compulsions and impulses that tell you more, harder, try, do it, do it a little, set higher goals, reach, push ahead. I probably didn't. I'm not very happy with my performance on that little segment. Push ahead, try harder, whatever. Okay, I'm not a 3. I'm just trying to understand. And I also don't beat myself up too much about my performance. All right, so you have a hard time trusting that you will be loved for who you are. Ow, that's got to be painful, right? I mean, that's got to be painful. You have a hard time trusting you'll be loved for who you are. You might not even know who you are. Who am I? Who am I if I'm not the successful person? You could be loved for just who you are. You probably got this message as a kid that you were shown all kinds of attention and love when you did things great. But then you were humiliated if you messed up or made a mistake, and that you were very sensitive to that. Like that felt very awful, and I don't want to ever feel that again. You probably have this sense that you'll be loved for what you do, not for who you are. Can you love yourself for who you are? Or do you only love yourself when you're doing well? That's interesting. You may believe that people love you based on what you do. So you may be motivated to deny or suppress your emotions unconsciously. If people love me for what I do, and they love me because I'm awesome, and they love me because of my performance, then I've got to continue that performance no matter what, even if it feels fake, even if it doesn't feel authentic, even if I'm tired, exhausted, or I'm sad. I need to suppress that sadness, suppress that frustrations, suppress my fears, my fear of messing up, my fear that people won't like me, my fear that my crowd is going to turn against me. I need to suppress that fear, and I need to be fantastic. I need to be awesome. I need to be a celebrity. If you want to become a celebrity, you got to act like a celebrity. That's a lot of pressure. Yikes. It's a lot of pressure. And it must be really sad to think that the people around me don't love me unless I perform at a certain level. Okay, loved on based on what you do, and you tend to deny or suppress your emotions unconsciously. Despite being an intrinsically emotional person, you will especially tend to avoid your emotions when your environment somehow discourages emotional expression. So maybe if you were to go to some kind of a conference or something where everybody's sitting around in a circle and we're all talking and sharing our emotions and sharing, what's important to us, then maybe you would feel comfortable tapping into that emotional side because, look, I've got to show everybody that I can do this. But just naturally, do you tap into those emotions and feel those emotions and share those emotions? I can't beat you up for this because I have a hard time with it too as a 7. I really do. Sometimes I have to remind myself, like, what are you feeling? Like, don't just think your feelings, but feel your feelings. And I'm always surprised when I go for a walk and I think about my feelings and I realize, wow, I'm kind of more angry than I thought I was. I'm a little more angry or upset or frustrated by whatever's going on in my life than I thought I was. I didn't realize I was that angry. And it's not comfortable for me to sit with anger or frustration. Or sometimes I'll realize how sad I am. And I'm like, wow, I'm kind of sad about that. Or I feel disappointed. Like I didn't want to think about how disappointed I was, but I'm really quite disappointed. My dog just walked in here and hit a baby toy. And so there was baby music playing. It's so distracting. Dogs. Beautiful husky. Maybe I'll put her in a video sometime. Anyway, she just wants to be where we are. So, discourages emotional expression. When you disconnect from or avoid your feelings, you disconnect from the truth of who you are. So notice your feelings play into a big part into what's important to you, what matters to you, how you feel about things. And if you just dial all that down and kind of shut that off, like that's not useful, that's not productive, that's not helpful, I'm just going to dial all that out. Because it's going to keep me from being fantastic. It's going to keep me from achieving this goal. It's going to keep me from looking great. Do you really think about what you've given up? I mean, isn't all of this to feel fantastic? But you don't feel. If you don't feel things, if you're not checked in and tuned into your own feelings, maybe you'll just keep working and working and working until you get that feeling of contentment and satisfaction. But maybe that feeling will never come. Because you've dialed all your feelings down so much, you're working really hard to get this feeling of contentment, appreciation, admired, satisfied, but it's hard to get there when all the feelings are dialed down. I get your struggle. I do. I'm in it with you. I'm for you 100%. And I hope this video helps you push back on some of those impulses and push back on some of those compulsions, challenge you a little bit, make you think about life, slow down, be grateful for all the people that are for you, and as always, be present to life as it is. All right, see you guys.